Okie dokes. All right, I'd like to welcome everybody here today to the Waitai Coastal-Burwood Community Board meeting for the 13th of June 2022. So we have, this meeting is being live streamed on YouTube, which we're excited about, so people can follow up and see it. So just before we start, we have our two city councillors participating online, Celeste and Phil, so they're with us and have and can vote in the proceedings. And of course, we have our regular community board members here in person. This is the first time we've met in person in some time, so you'll forgive us as we work our way through this. So I'd like to invite you all to stand for the karakia, and which I will lead, and everybody is welcome to participate in. So it's the one on the left there. Whakataka ki te uru, whakataka ki te tonga, kia mā kina ki uta, kia mā taratara ki tā, e hiki ana te atakura, he tio, he huka, he ko, tige, mauri ora. Wonderful, thank you everybody for your participation. Okay, so we'll start off today with apologies. Item 1 on the agenda. I don't think there are any apologies. So we will move on to item 2, which is declarations of interest. Do any of the members have any declarations of interest that they would like to declare?
One of the items is the discretionary response fund for the Darlington Community Garden.
Right.
I spend some time volunteering.
Okay, so you feel free to participate in that?
I've had nothing to do with the application, but there may be a perceived conflict of interest.
Okay, thank you. So do we want to declare one?
It's up to you. If you feel that you have no part in the process, the application and sort of the funding side, and you're comfortable, you can participate in the discussion.
I prefer it to be able to.
Yeah, I think that's good. Okay, cool. So we'll move on to item 3, which is the confirmation of the previous minutes, which I assume you've all read. I'm happy to move those, and then Bibi will second it. So all those in favour, say aye.
Aye.
Or raise your hand. Thank you. So that's unanimous. Thank you. We'll move on to item 4 on the agenda, which is public forum. So public forum is 5 minutes, including questions. So we have Kathy Baker here from the Guardians of Rawhiti, and she's going to talk about the boulder copper habitat. And just to let you know, the board can't resolve anything, but we can refer to staff. So welcome, Kathy. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. I'm really good. I've done a little blurb out here for you, so I won't waste time talking too much about it. We're collaborating with park rangers on this. There's an area in at the southern end, southwest end of the athletics track, over the road part of it, which for 20 years has just been a waste space. And 18 months ago, Canterbury boulder copper butterfly was rediscovered, and it hadn't been seen for nearly 200 years.
Wow. And
so there is a push with entomologists and lepidopterists, I think, to try and get it re-established. And so that's what we're going to do. We're going to use that wee space. So the council is going to scrub the top off the ground to get rid of all the raggy old weeds and broken bits and little bits of rubbish and a few needles and stuff like that. And then they're going to supply some soil, and thanks to very generous Phil, he's going to supply a truckload of stones for it. And Burnside Primary School, who have already established a habitat at their school. So that was the first one outside McLean's Island, where they discovered just a few of these wee butterflies. And it's attracted international attention. And so we're doing it as a media event as well. So Bianca Wojak and Ruth Kleinpass and Dr. Colin Merck are involved. And so we're all meeting on the 30th of July, Saturday the 30th of July. We've got the Student Volunteer Army coming to help do the heavy work with wheelbarrows and shovels and things. And the council will provide them with a vecchia that they live on. And hopefully this time next year we will have a wee colony established, just a little population. So yeah, so that's what we're doing. So that's the wee butterfly. It's quite different to the alpine boulder copper, as you can see on the thing. And so that's basically what it will look like. So probably not a lot better than it looks at the moment.
Well, that's fascinating, Kathy. I didn't realise. I think we might have a few questions for you.
Yeah, sure.
Linda, you've got your pen up.
Yeah, thanks. It's really exciting, and I'd really like to see this project get ahead.
Yeah.
I've got one wee concern, and that's vandalism.
The council are going to put up some barriers. There's not a lot to vandalise. I mean, we've done the woodland playground and we've lost some plants, as people have seen, because we put $60,000 worth of natives in, and we've lost probably about 60 of them from theft. But apart from that, we haven't had any vandalism in the playground at all. It's been amazing, actually, and no trash has been left, no rubbish, nothing. It's been respected. So hopefully this might do the same thing. And the council, the park range is going to organise a sign for it, talking about the wee butterfly and why it's there.
It'd be good if you could get the school children in, start early with the education.
Yes, yes, yes.
Well done.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, that's really exciting. Thank you, Linda. Does anybody else have any questions? Yeah, I think that's fantastic. So who first discovered the butterflies?
Brian Patrick, he writes books on New Zealand butterflies and moths, and he was on McLean's Island looking for something else and discovered this little one.
Wow.
I mean, we're wanting to establish the red admiral and the yellow admiral and the little coastal copper, which is a little tiny little bright orange butterfly as well. And so that would give us about 5 or 6 different butterflies, local butterflies, but there are others as well. And because it's a woodland area, the wee coppers will happily live in there. Yeah.
And so you had Rude, he's that chap from TV.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Oh, well,
and
look.
Bianca Wojak, who's helping us with this, is just last week was named the New Zealand Science Teacher of the Year. So we're lucky to have her. Yeah. Well, she's on our trust, so doing quite well, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's great news. That's really good to hear. And yeah, wonderful that you're doing something in.
Well, trying to bring it back from it. It was thought to be extinct. So, you know, it's critically endangered now, not extinct, obviously. But at the end of last year, Burnside Primary, they didn't even know whether any butterflies were in there, and 2 children came running saying, "We've got the butterflies," and they found 3 wee butterflies, and they'd just put the habitat in earlier in the year.
Wow.
So it's established there now, and so they will bring some over and to put in Rafferty Domain. So let's hope that they stay. If they don't migrate, they just stay at home. Yeah.
Oh, well, that's good. Hey, Paul, are you got a question, Joe?
No, I just wanted to make a statement. You may not be aware, but Kathy has secured a whole lot of other native plants and daffodils to plant.
Yeah, we
in the
do.
domain.
Oh,
So
God. We've got
they're doing
20,000
an
daffodils.
awesome job.
Yeah, well, what happened, I said to the park ranger, you know, when we were, and Sarah Minkle out from the council, when we were walking through the playground when it was finished, and I just said, look, you know, are there any daffodil bulbs you could segue to us this year? And so they said, oh, we'll have a look. Oh, they've got 50,000.
Oh,
Well,
So we've got 20,000 to plant, and we've given some to North Creek Beach Residents Association. So if anybody would like to come down, we're doing it with the North New Brighton Catholic School this week and next week. But we'll probably do a Sunday morning or something.
Good.
Yeah, to try and get community.
Well, thank you so much,
You're
Kathy. It's
welcome.
really good to hear what you guys are up to, and thank you for your investment of time and effort on behalf of the community. I'm sure it will be really appreciated, and we really hope this goes incredibly well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Kelly. Sorry, I had my hand up, but I don't think you.
Sorry, yeah, do you want to?
I just wanted to say how fantastic that is, and if there's anything we can do to support, please do let us know in terms of promoting the events or doing anything else to get volunteers down to do planting. So,
Student volunteer army, we've got 25 coming.
okay, great.
Yeah.
I had one of the high schools reach out to me about some of their groups wanting to connect with different events and things. So there might be another connection.
Shirley Boys.
Shirley Boys, have you been in touch with them?
I've spoken with the headmaster there, and they're very keen to become involved with what we're doing in the domain. So especially the educational aspect that we're in stage 2, we're moving into.
Oh, brilliant.
Yeah, we just put all the log seats in today for the outdoor classroom. So
Oh, brilliant. And I know that the Avonside Girls, it's the largest Enviro club in Canterbury, I think.
yes,
So they might.
yes, and they're keen too.
Great.
So, which is,
Awesome.
and
Sounds like you.
Thank you for the rocks and boulders and stones and things.
Okay, good. Thank you. Wonderful. Okay, so we'll move on to item 5 on the agenda, which is deputations by appointment. These are normally 10 minutes, but we don't have any today. So we'll move on to item 6, which is presentation of petitions. So I'd like to invite Amanda Neal, who's a local resident we know well, and Gordon Cockrell to come and present us a petition. So we have 5 minutes for this, and then questions from the board. So I'd like to welcome you to the front table. You want to stay there? Okay. Amanda, you're going to come up to the...
I need to have room to stand away from my big stick.
Well, you can, as long as you don't hit anybody, you better watch out there because young Rory's right beside you. It depends how you swing that round. Oh, that's good. Visuals. Anyway, welcome.
Thank you very much.
Anyone see that all right? I'm not sure that... oh, yeah, I don't think Celeste Phil will be able to see that too well.
that white line at the bottom that follows the green reserve area, that would be Last Six Road.
Yeah.
I'll point to a few things for you, Linda, as we go. Okay.
So, what have you come to speak to us?
Kia ora tātou. And it's a real honour to present this petition to you today. That's the original. Sorry, she knows read that first.
Fair enough.
And there's some spares there that just something you might like to have a look at if you can share a little bit. There we go.
Yeah.
Right, well, that petition is from over half of the dwellings in Spencerville and Brooklands. Excuse me having my back to you, Joe, but
That's
we've
okay.
met before, so please forgive me. Now, the petition is fully supported by the Spencerville Residents Association and the Brooklands Consultation Group. And you can see the figures involved in the petition on the front page. And you can also have a look at this 2019 aerial photograph of Brooklands. The full length of the Brooklands Lagoon is over 1 kilometre further this way, south, than can be fitted on that photo. So you're looking at a long stretch of lagoon there today. And we are asking for immediate action to provide a proper stop bank on the lagoon. This side, where the sandhills are minimal. This side, they are huge by comparison. This is all eroded. And we would like a walking and cycling track along the top, please. And we want it to complete the secondary stop bank work on the Waimakariri River from where it presently ends, way down Stewart's Gully down here, and along to Brooklands, and then to build up the natural line between the sand dunes all along the west side of the lagoon. And we need it to go all the way round the end of the lagoon onto the big dunes at Spencer Park Beach. The tracks around the lagoon are currently health and safety hazards to birds and to people. Parts of the tracks are often so flooded and mosquito-ridden and slippery with stagnant water that we cannot use them safely. So the logical solution is to continue and complete the high and dry stop bank, the track that already exists west of Brooklands, way down here. Now, all the way along the top of the top ridge of the completed stop bank to the Spencer Park Beach dunes. Now, even more seriously than the track situation, there are three circumstances. If they occur at the same time, they'll cause havoc to our whole city. One, stormy weather in the mountains causing the Waimak levels to reach overload. Two, stormy weather throughout Christchurch causing the land to be already fully saturated. And three, a king tide on the Pacific Ocean, forcing uncontrollable pressure on the Waimak River, and that will cause the river to turn right. This is a bottleneck here. It's a man-made bottleneck. It's very dangerous. With the king tide pushing in, with the river in flood, with the city already saturated, the river will turn into its old ancient pathways. Can you imagine an angry wall of water cascading violently down the lagoon and then onwards, bringing terror and destruction across all low-lying city areas? In Brooklands and Spencerville, we have already seen 30-centimetre high walls of water rolling onto our streets and our properties. And it's a very scary sight. And it's only been due to 2 out of the 3 things happening when we've seen this. That was June 2012, July 2017, and May 31st last year. So we've come to say, please do not allow our city to remain undefended and unprotected against all 3 circumstances happening together, all just for the want of a stop bank. Waimakariri means cold, bad-tempered water. Please take the right steps to stop this water being let loose on our city. The Brooklands Lagoon is presently a huge 3-kilometre long gateway, a gateway for those waters to cause further disaster for Christchurch. And none of us can afford to continue carrying such a massive risk. We're asking for 4 things to happen now. 1, we ask councillors from ECAN and City Council to assess this situation together, to consult with local residents, engineers and contractors who know and love this land, having the wisdom to make a decent stop bank, and then all parties to take urgent team action. And 2, we ask City Council to use the money given to each council from Three Waters. This money can be used for stop bank protection. It's there to use for this purpose. 3, we ask you to provide a report of planning back to us within 2 months, which we will distribute throughout our neighbourhoods. And 4, we ask that these 4 things be recorded today, here in readiness for action. This petition is not some computer-generated faceless document. It represents over 170 face-to-face conversations on people's doorsteps during the month of May. I personally saw the pain and frustration on those faces as they told me many stories of decades of being ignored and neglected and left in fearful conditions. I was overwhelmed by the positive support of residents for this stop bank and by their relief at the possibility of something happening to help at last. A 98.5% positive response rate from a sample of over half the dwellings is an extremely conclusive canvassing effort. Please honour our petition by seeing to the creation of a safe, secure stop bank for all, combining construction with conservation. Mai I rangi kia papa, the land, the people, the spirit that binds. Thanks for listening.
Wonderful. I would have clapped too. Thank you, Amanda. I think that was a really passionate representation of your situation. And congratulations on your petition in particular. I love the fact that you've consulted widely in your community and you've engaged with a lot of people. Hasn't always been the case, you know, sometimes there are small groups of people who think something, but the fact that you've actually done the groundwork and engaged throughout that local community, Spencerville and Brooklands, etc., shows that you're tapping into what the people are concerned about. So I think we'll just open this up very briefly to questions now. So we don't have the power to build a stop bank right now, but we can start the process and refer it to staff, and then ask them to come back to us with perhaps some comments on where we might go from there. But just so that we're better informed, because we have two city councillors here as well, which is probably where the decisions will be made. So we'll start with any questions. I can see Phil's got his hand up, so we'll start with Phil, and then we'll go Joe, and then Linda will have something. So Phil.
Thanks, Mandy. Good to see you again. Do you mind leaving that plan with Kelly so that I can see it next time I see him? Is that possible?
Are you talking about the map, Phil?
Yeah, the map, yeah.
If you don't mind getting it back to me, because it's part of my decoration in my house.
Yeah, I think maybe we'll take a photo, because I don't think you've actually put a stop bank on there, have you?
No, I haven't.
No, so it's just a picture of Brooklands Lagoon and
Now,
but we can get a picture.
I know a little bit about the stop bank at the end of Earlham Street, but is it generally low all the way along? Because what I'm thinking now about building the thing, is there lots of surplus high sand hills on that side, or not really? It's like, can you flog sand off the high ones to make the low ones all up to the same level? Is the question I'm asking you. You may not know.
I do know. The answer is no. The sand dunes on that side are so low, it would require a lot of landfill, but Phil, you can landfill.
Yeah, no worries. No, I just thought there might have been some high bits, but because there'll be a level and it'll be 11.5 or something, there'll be a level. So no, okay, that's right. I might even come down and go for a walk with you.
Yeah, please do.
Okay. Thanks, Phil. Joe.
I was just wanting to know, do we have to move that we accept this and refer it to staff? Or does it just automatically?
We can make a possible resolution.
So we need to move that? Okay, I move that we do that, please.
Well, we'll just wait till we get to questions, but
Okay.
so we have a mover.
Yeah.
Linda?
I wondered about dredging to fill in the low bits. It's a wee while since I walked on from Haydors Road along, and I think it's really low now, isn't it? Virtually too hard to walk.
That's why the tracks are a bit useless at the moment.
Yeah, sand's got to come from somewhere. I did wonder about dredging, but You know, I see the potential for this being couched as a wildlife walk, a circuit, because it's easy to join up with the park on the other side of Hayes Road and then back down again. It's a circular walk and cycleway. That's very trendy.
And
I really like the idea. I know those walks. The ones down along the riverside, they were high. And it's lovely being up high and walking in the wilds. So I see it as an asset.
We do too.
Yes, there's the Mercy side of it, but I see it as an asset. So
Okay.
it could be an asset for the city.
Thank you, Linda. Yeah, I tend to agree. I mean, I've run and bike all around there.
Roads bumpy.
It is, but haven't been there in a few years now. Celeste.
Thank you for the presentation of the petition, and well done on canvassing so many people. It's really great that you guys have done all this work. So I appreciate you guys taking the time. This might be a question around process for staff, but if we ask for a report from council, because there's some overlapping statutory responsibilities there, are we also, would it be in terms of fast tracking it, if we put forward a resolution to also make sure that there's a conversation with ECAN?
That would be wonderful, Celeste, thank you. Anything that fast tracks this is important. We've got.
So I've got some wording for a resolution that could be in addition to the staff report that would also be asking for a resolution for the mayor to speak with ECAN at the next governor's meeting.
Chris, do you want to speak to that?
I like that.
So the proposed words that we've got is simply seeking staff advice. So if you were to want the mayor to write to ECAN, that would essentially, and Cindy, please correct me if I'm wrong, that would turn this into a part A, so the board shouldn't really direct the mayor, but that would have to go up to council for them to resolve. Would you agree?
I would agree.
So that's up to the board to decide. The downside with that is you will slow things down because the part A will go up to council, which would probably go to their, I would say you're out of time for the July meeting, so that would be August. So you just have to weigh that up if you're wanting to put that as part of your direction as well.
So they wouldn't be handled as two separate actions. One would sort of delay the second in terms of getting us.
But from what you're saying, if you're wanting a joined up approach, I mean, staff could start that work, but they wouldn't be having the conversations with ECAN, which is probably what you would want out of that resolution from what you're saying. Correct me if I'm wrong, but so staff could start doing some initial work on the first part. But if what you're looking at is a much more joined up approach with ECAN, you'd want to wait for that decision to be confirmed by council.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the question is about making sure that we're not just getting a report and being told that we have to then speak to ECAN, which will further delay things. So making sure that right from the start, we're making sure that we've got conversations with the people that need to be at the table from the beginning. So I'm open to your.
So before this meeting, I have actually spoken to staff, and when that conversation, ECAN were raised, so they're aware of what needs to be done in relation to their investigations and whom in which they should be reaching out to or connecting with. So as Chris indicated, I think if we refer it to staff for investigation and response, when I send them the action arising from this meeting, they'll not only receive the petition, they'll also receive a copy of the statement in which Amanda has read from. And I will then also include a note to say, can you please ensure that any work with ECAN coincides with your investigation and response back to the community board.
Okay, that sounds good. Thanks, Cindy, for clarifying that.
Okay, so essentially what we're doing is we're going to potentially refer this to staff for investigation and response back to community board by way of info council memorandum.
So it's just a memorandum in which the board will receive on an error report, but if there is a conclusion in which an action is required from, then we'll include that in that report.
Okay, is everyone happy with the construction of that? Because and so is that what you would like to move, Joe?
That we accepted and we.
Yeah.
refer it to staff for immediate action.
And Celeste, would you like to second that? You would? Okay, so we have that before us then. All those in favour say aye or raise their hand.
Aye.
Okay, so that's unanimous. Okay, so we will refer that to staff. Thank you, Amanda. Thank you for all the work that you guys have done. I mean, it's really impressive, you know.
Well, I am passionate about it, so I think.
We can see that.
Yeah. Do you want me to take the map now, or do you want to photograph it?
Maybe we'll just get someone to photograph it.
I'll deal with that. You want to make them this little one?
Yeah, you take that and we will move on to.
I set off Google Maps anyway, Cal. Don't worry, that's all right. I'll set off Google Maps.
Yeah, no, it's just a regular map. Excellent. Okay, so that is item 6, presentation of petitions done, which we will move on to then item 7, which is the Canterbury Genealogy Society Incorporated lease at Parkview Lounge. So I'd like to invite Lisa Barwood, who is here, great, to a leasing consultant to come and talk to us about this renewal.
I'm happy to do this, Kelly.
You're going to jump in and move it?
Yeah. I don't take all the wind out of everyone's sails, but yes.
Oh, that's fine.
Or do we have a second?
Yeah.
Okay, Joe. So Phil and Joe. Do you want to give us a very, very, very quick summary of?
They're a lovely organisation who were based at Shirley Community Centre for years, and they lost the building in the we lost the building in the earthquakes. So for a long time, we're living out of boxes, sometimes at Shirley Intermediate School, eventually found their way to Parklands Community Centre and obviously would like to keep their lease going. So they get a lot of drop-ins from the community. They do really good work. They're very involved in a lot. So they're a good organisation, I think. It's an underutilised space before they took it. We historically have never been able to rent it out. And they do a great job. So
perfect.
Yeah.
All right. Does anybody have any questions for Lisa? Joe?
What time's it open?
I'm the leasing consultant, so I don't actually.
You don't know?
Wouldn't have a clue.
No,
No, open days, and then I know they do some weekends, and they also do evenings. So they have quite a bit of overtime. Drop-in sessions.
Good. Yeah. Okay. Right. Well, we have a motion before us. So all those in favour, say aye. Or raise their hand. We have moved by Phil and seconded by Joe. And that was unanimous. So thanks for that, everyone. Thank you very much for coming all this way.
Thanks.
Appreciate it. So we'll move on to item 8 on the agenda, which is Travis Road, cycle lanes and parking restrictions between Wattle Drive and Bower Ave. So I'd like to invite Gautam and Stephen. Nice. All right.
This will be as quick as the last one.
I kind of doubt that. If it involves anything like bus stops or traffic.
Gautam's always bringing us
He's the most controversial guy in council. Okay, guys. Yeah, so we are all pretty familiar with this. Perhaps you would like to, just talk it through. I know that we have questions. So, did you want to give a basic précis?
Sure thing. Good evening, everyone. So this report is to request the board's approval for the new scheme design for the section of Travis Road between Bower Avenue and the Anzac Parade intersections. So yeah, as we all know, there was a scheme design which was brought up previously, and it met with some opposition from the adjoining community. And after start discussions with earlier with the Councillor Major and then Councillor Stephen Daniels, a new design was prepared, and after direction from the board mid last year to proceed with the new scheme design, it was all carried forward and formally designed and consulted. So just to give a very brief rundown of what happened earlier. So as we know, a few years ago, to improve the road network around this area and to provide better cycling and walking facilities, an improvement scheme was prepared for this part of Travis Road. Many organizations like ECAN, City Council, Ministry of Education and ZTA were involved. And in 2018, the previous scheme was approved part by the council and part by the board. And there was a delay in between due to lack ambiguity around the responsibilities and the scope of the project. But once it was all, and that at that stage, it involved the cycle lane being abruptly ending on the northern side of Travis Road.
Sure.
So it caused a road safety issue as well. So after clarifying on the project scope and all the responsibilities, the traffic operations team of the council came forward to complete the installation of the approved scheme. And once, so the older scheme involved cycle lanes on both sides of Travis Road. And to accommodate the cycle lanes, it involved removing the existing flush median along that part of Travis Road. And this met, as we all know, as most of us know, that this met with some opposition from the nearby community and business owners. And they did raise some concerns around the potential effects of removal of the flush median, and also question the cycle lanes as well. So after this, a series of actions followed, involving site meetings with the board, staff, and the business owners, and a deputation and a presentation of petitions by the business owners as well. So after that, as mentioned earlier, after staff discussions with the councillors and the board direction, a new scheme was prepared. So we were indicated. So we were asked, staff were asked to prepare a design which involved retaining the flush median and also providing the cycle lanes. So in order to do that, parking on one side of the road had to be removed. So based on site observations, staff understand that the parking along south side of the road of Travis Road needs to be retained, that is opposite the school, and the parking that near the school that has to be removed to accommodate the flush median. So that is indicated in the design, it's been included. So the new design was consulted, it was sent out for consultation. It involved giving leaflets to all the affected stakeholders, and no feedback was received from the residents or the businesses by the cutoff date. And the team leader of parking compliance didn't have any concerns with this proposal as well. So this project will be funded by the traffic operations school safety budget, and requesting board's approval for this one. If approved, we are looking for implementation in this financial year and early stages of next financial year, because as we know, we'll be starting off with, if approved, we'll be starting off with line markings now, and we know with the green cycle lane markings which is involved, the weather conditions and road conditions need to be suitable as well. So upon initial conversations with the contractors, the green can be laid by around September. So by then we expect everything else to be completed.
Good. Thank you, Gautam. I mean, obviously it's been a long time in coming, and there's been a few adjustments, etc. Certainly appreciate all the work that you guys have put in. So I think we'll start with questions. Are you happy to move it? Did you say, Phil?
Roger.
Yeah, and I'm happy to second. But first, we have a question from Celeste.
Hey, thank you. I'm just playing catch up on this because I wasn't here for the original conversations. It sounds like a lot of work has been done, so thanks for all your efforts to sort of make this work for so many different people. With the flush medium, are there any additional safety risks that would bring? I guess I just want to make sure that whatever we vote on is the safest option rather than a compromise between maybe a couple of business owners and everyone else.
Actually, Councillor, we do have with the flush median, yes, the crossing distance does increase a little bit, but we do have many crossing facilities along that part of Travis Road, as we know, like the median islands, which should enable the students and the others to cross the road. So earlier we wanted to retain the the earlier design was done to retain the on-street parking spaces as well, and that involved removing the flush median. Since that didn't go well with the adjoining community, we thought of working it around, and with the businesses on the northern side of Travis Road, as we know, having a good number of off-street spaces, we thought the removal of spaces would not create a major impact. So we just thought of retaining the flush median and the cycle lanes as well. But with the flush median, the only thing is, obviously, we are not, as with any pedestrian crossing thing, lesser the crossing distance, better, the lesser the risk. So But with this one, we are retaining the existing one, but still we are still having the pedestrian crossing facilities, the median islands along Travis Road. So we are not creating any use.
I think the key thing is we're not making it any worse.
Yeah.
If anything, having the median does give particularly motorists, and if cycling numbers do increase in that area, it gives people more room for error. So it's still going to be the lanes are still going to be relatively narrow. If you get a large group of cyclists, having that flush median does actually give any motorist a little bit more space to actually pass those cyclists safely without sticking right in their lane.
Nice.
So there's pros and cons to each. We're not particularly concerned from a safety point of view. I think overall it's going to increase safety compared to where we are at the moment.
Okay. Celeste, happy? Okay. Does anybody else have any other questions? Joe?
Yeah, I was just going to ask about the consultation, and you put leaflets out to the businesses in the area. Did you actually hand them to the people or just put them in a leaf box?
Hand delivered.
Hand delivered.
Hand delivered.
Yeah. We didn't do it from our team. Like obviously we requested the help of the community engagement team in the council. So yeah, they hand delivered the leaflets to the affected properties and businesses. That's what. Yeah.
So in the letter boxes or to the actual person, and you have to talk to the person?
I'd say if there's people present, then it's been delivered to the owner of the
So
occupier.
you've had no feedback at all?
Yeah.
So that could probably indicate everyone's happy.
Yes.
Good. Excellent. Thank you.
And we do give a generous time for the responses as well.
Yes,
So
thank you.
Okay. Thank you. I don't think there's any further questions. So do we need to debate this? Is anybody got anything to say? No?
Happy?
Everyone's happy? Okay, so the motion's been put by Phil and seconded by me. So all those in favour say aye or raise their hand.
Aye.
Okay, so that's unanimous. Thank you very much. Thank you, Garth, and thank you, Stephen. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Good to get this done. Yeah, thanks for coming out too, guys. Really appreciate it. Look at that, Gotham, that was pretty quick.
Take care, everyone.
Yeah, see ya.
We'll see you again, no doubt. Okay, so that brings us to item 9, which is what a Coastal-Burwood Youth Development Fund. So I'd like to, this is Lauren Shear, so I'd like, Shear, did I get that right? Shear? So Katie, tell us about this.
I'll take the report as read, but she's a pretty incredible young girl, very high achieving, and she's going to an event all the way in Switzerland, and it's for a sport, trampolining, that doesn't get a lot of funding. However, its profile has been risen recently because of the New Zealander who got the bronze in Tokyo. I can't remember his name, but yes, so I have a recommendation here of $500.
Okay, guys, any questions from anybody? Phil, did you have a question?
As you would think.
Sorry, missed that.
I'm happy to.
Oh, you're happy to.
I'm happy to move. I had to mute on. Sorry.
Okay. Well, Linda has a question.
Yeah, it's I do a little bit of fundraising themselves. Did that happen?
Yes, and that's actually explained
see
in
that.
the report, and
Yeah.
that's actually, I'll give you the number. That is at 4.12 of the report.
Okay. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, right.
Okay. So
You just second it.
Phil's moved and Joe has seconded.
Oh, yeah.
And all those in favour say aye or raise their hand. Yep, so that's unanimous. Thanks for that, Katie.
Awesome, thank you very much.
Thank you. All the best to Lauren in her training 4 times a week. Okay.
Tell me,
So,
yes, do you want to put the next 4 together?
is it possible to do that?
I don't know. You're the boss.
Disagree
Can we
with
do it
you.
separately or?
Yeah, if you've
If
got
we're gonna
questions, it's
pass
better
them
to do
all,
them separate.
Yeah.
Yeah, perhaps that's a, does anybody have any questions about the next 4? So Joe, do you have?
Yeah.
So just
So then
hang on,
do them
start from the top.
Okay, we'll just start from the top. We'll go through the process. So,
Yeah, I'm quite happy about it, but I just want to clarify something.
okay, so which one are you talking about?
Oh,
We'll start at 10. Okay, so this is the Darlington Community Garden. So Rory,
is this the one you have a question about?
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
Just, like, it's really good this is all happening, and I love to see this kind of thing happening in more communities. But because this is in a red zone, are we looking at a permanent future for it?
So that's one of the things at the moment that they're working through with staff, council staff around their lease and what the sort of longer term process of that looks like. I know they are looking to extend their lease and also try to extend the area that they sort of have access to within the park, as they've got sort of structured to their allotted space at the moment. So yeah, they're in those conversations at the moment, trying to sort of make sure there's a long-term future there, but certainly the group are committed to the long-term.
Yes, because I'd really like to see it staying long-term, if we can.
Yep.
And happy to pass that funding if.
Yeah.
Happy to move.
You're happy to move, Linda? Okay, and Phoebe, would you like a second? Oh.
I'll second.
Okay.
I'll stay out of it.
Yeah, that's probably a good idea. Good one. Sorry, I wasn't trying to blindside you. So Joe, you're going to second that. Okay, so it is before us. So all those in favour say aye or raise their hand. And that's carried unanimously. Thank you. Thanks, Rory. Appreciate it. We like the Dillington Community Gardens. So we'll move on to item 11, which is the DRF Fund for Parklands United Sports Club Incorporated. Jackie, welcome.
Thank you.
Does anybody have any questions for Jackie? I'm happy to move this.
I'll second. I'm happy to second.
Lynn's going to second it.
You missed me, Kelly.
Oh, sorry. Did you?
Sorry, I was hoping to second this one.
Oh,
It doesn't matter. Just fine.
sorry. Yeah, actually, Linda, do you want to withdraw? Or?
Because why?
Oh, because she's coastal and I think she wants to get her name on it.
That's all right. That's fine.
Yeah, happy to do that?
Yep.
That's very kind of you. There you go.
Thank you, Linda.
You had seconded that.
I didn't see it either, actually.
No, neither do I. Actually, sorry, Celeste, it's actually quite hard. I don't have fishbowl eyes. So, yeah, we have it before us. All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so that's unanimous. Thank you. All right. Item 12, which is the Brooklands Community Action Plan. So, Emily. So, do we have any questions for Emily? I assume you've all read this. $10,000. Did you have a question, Phil? No?
What's he doing?
I is what I was meant.
Oh, okay, yeah, so he's jumping in. Anyway, so would someone like to move the motion? Yep. There's no questions, so Joe's going to do that, and Celeste, I assume you'll be seconding it. So we have it before us. All those in favour say aye. Aye. Okay, so that's carried.
Just really briefly on this one, one of the benefits of this is it will allow some work to continue, obviously, with the end of the financial year, and the new DRF and establishing those funding pots takes time. But the plan is that we can carry forward this funding to bridge the gap between the next available money, right, Emily? So this, rather than waiting for September, this just allows some of that work to continue.
Yeah, and thanks. I mean, we really appreciate the work that you're doing out there and re-engaging with the community, and yeah, and that's why it's a very simple support for us, from us. So thank you. But stay there because you're down for the next one, which is the DRF for the La Vida Youth Trust for $13,000. So do we have any questions for Emily on this one? No?
Sorry, 13,000.
No, 5,000. Did I say 13?
Yeah, that's what you did.
Did I? Wow, where did that come from? Okay, well, I'm happy to move that. Do we have a seconder?
Yep.
Joe, thank you. Okay, so all those in favour say aye or raise their hand. Aye. Okay, so that's unanimous again. Thank you very much, Emily. How easy was that? Okay, so that moves us to item 14 on the schedule, which is the meeting schedule for 2022. So I'd invite Cindy to come and brief us on this.
Would you like me to?
Do you really
I'm quite
think?
happy to stay here.
I think you could stay there.
So I'll take the report as read, but just want to highlight the recommendation. So the board are voting on option A to convene their board meetings at 4:30 p.m. or option B to convene board meetings at 5 p.m.
Okay, does anyone have any questions for Cindy on this? Linda?
I'm just a wee bit concerned, because we've been out of the boardroom and hopefully we're in here for a while. I'd like to see some more participation. And I think the reason we tried to go with 5 was for that reason, to get people finishing work and being able to get here. But of course, that was foiled because we were doing meetings on Zoom.
Mm.
That's my only concern I wanted to raise. And really, that means really looking at staying at 5. I'd like to hear what other people's views are.
Okay, does anybody have any other questions or views? Celeste?
I guess I just want to support what Linda was saying, and that I think it's great that we're trialling things that are aiming to improve participation. Unfortunately, because we've been in lockdown, we haven't actually really had the opportunity to trial this as an in-person trial. So I think that option B, which means that we can actually give it a go for another 3 months and then actually make a decision on how the trial goes, would be really helpful. And I know that we kind of had a similar conversation around live streaming, and there were some questions as to how effective that would be. And since trialing it, and we've given it a decent amount of time, we now kind of can see that it's been quite positive, in fact, so much so that it's been adopted by all the community boards because it is another way of people participating. So I guess I just want to really sort of reiterate that having another 3 sort of sessions, because we're only meeting once a month, does make quite a big difference for the community, because if you're working 9 to 5, it does actually mean you can sort of at least attempt to get down here after work and be heard in person. I know that there's an opportunity to do that and request that you do it outside of that timing, but I think it's about making sure that it's clear to the community that they can show up and they don't have to pre-arrange it. I think that's really important. So I'd be keen to see us continue with the 5 p.m. ones. And I guess just finally, I did ask people what they thought. I said we've got sort of 2 options and possibly a 3rd option if we can think of one. And pretty much uniformly positive feedback about sticking with the 5 o'clock start. So I think that's good to know when we make our decision.
Okay, thanks, Celeste. Does anybody else have any questions? I have a question, Cindy. So is this, are we deciding upon the next, to the end of the term? Yeah, so it's only the next kind of 3 meetings. Okay. Excellent. All right, so I guess we need to.
So someone needs to move something.
Yeah, someone needs to move something. So
I was going to move that we stick with the 5 o'clock start for the remainder of the term.
We adopt option B.
Option B.
Okay, thank you. Do we have a seconder for that?
Yeah, I'll second.
So Linda is going to second that. So we vote on that. So all those in favour of option B, which is beginning at 5, say aye or raise their hand. So we have 3. Okay. And then all those against? Aye. So it's 3 and 3.
Do you have a casting vote through the chair if you choose to use it? Otherwise, well, essentially, we need a decision today because you haven't extended your meeting schedule past today's meeting. So you use your casting vote either way, essentially.
Interesting. So I have to make the decision right now. Okay, well, sorry, is Joe allowed to comment?
That's your decision as chair.
Yeah, okay, Joe, what have you got to say?
No, I'm really supportive of getting the community more involved in everything.
Yeah.
But realistically, we've only got 3 more meetings before we finish for the term. And then we'll be joining up with Linwood, and there'll be other people elected, or that we may be re-elected. And we have the opportunity in the next 3 months to actually, I suppose, put it out to the public and see what they would prefer. And in the meantime, like with the 5 o'clock start, we've just been twiddling our thumbs for like over half an hour doing nothing. And people haven't been coming, and they haven't been motivated enough to get to board. So I think we need to look at the reasoning behind that as well, and put a wee bit of thought into what we can do to get more people engaged. And, you know, when it comes to joining up with Linwood next time, then start afresh and get something really good in place.
Okay.
Can I speak?
Yes, sure.
The next 3 months, there'll be a lot of work coming through. I'll try, staff will try, and we've got to try to get as much through as possible. I'd like to see the participation. And that's my only reason.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm speaking as for.
Yes, but in regards to that, if we take half an hour off the meeting, we're going to have less time to get more through.
Why would we do that?
Okay, Celeste, you want to make another point?
I guess just in response to some of the concerns about changing the time, the reason there's been a lag is because people haven't shown up for the briefings. It's not because of the timing of the meeting, and the briefings themselves can be adjusted. I think the second point is we've gotten community feedback. I asked people what they thought, and there's a number of there's no comments that say that they want to stick with the 4:30. It's a trial, so whether it's 3 more sessions or it's 6, that's the purpose, is to get data on what people want. And I don't see the value in postponing a trial because we'll be joining up with another community board. This similar with live streaming, we could have put that off until the next term, but we didn't. And because of that, I think we've had some positive impacts. So I'd like to see us kind of continue trialing things that might make an improvement now, because I don't see any advantage to waiting.
Okay, thank you. Does anybody else have any thoughts?
Just to agree with what Celeste and Linda have said. I do think that if we adopt an attitude of waiting until the next board for the next 3 meetings to make a decision, I think there's a danger in thinking in that way. And we need to make decisions which are good for our board and for the people we represent now. And I have also asked about 4:30 and 5, and I have also had the feedback that 5 PM is a better time if somebody was going to be engaging with us.
Okay, Joe, have you talked to anybody at all about? Yeah. Linda, have you spoken to anybody?
Yes, I have.
Yeah.
Sorry.
And what was the feeling from you?
Well, following through with the actions will be really good. The common sense is, the common sense answer I'm getting from them is it's more accessible.
Okay, Phil, any last thoughts?
So the other thing we could look at doing is putting the public forum session later into our meeting.
Yes, that's what
the public forum
sessions for the public to attend, if they want to attend, to actually put that at a later time in the agenda.
Chris, would you like to comment on it?
Yes, that's always been fine. So if someone's contacted, and I think we've had that example here at this board, if someone's contacted and said they want to give a deputation to an item or speak to an item, but they can't make the start of the meeting, then all they have to do is talk to us and we'll schedule them in later and make sure that that item appears later on the agenda to allow for it as well. So that's not a problem at all. If someone says, hey, I can't make use today's example, I can't make today at 5 o'clock, could I come at 5:30? We would work with people. It's not fixed. Standing orders does talk about it's an allocated time at the start of the meeting, but we would always work with people if they let us know. It's not a problem.
But just to be clear, that requires people arranging that rather than just being able to turn up. So that I think that's a different option. So people do have to take an extra step. So you can't just say, oh, I might pop along today and speak at the open forum, because if you can't get there at 4:30, then you have to make another arrangement. So I just want to clarify.
Yeah, I'm not sure that we've seen a lot of people just turn up and speak, to be honest, in our time. Anyway, I guess the time for discussion is over, and since I guess I've been landed with a casting vote, I'm going to go with the return to what we started at the beginning of the term, which was 4:30. I'm quite happy with the fact that these days accessibility is substantially improved by the fact that we have a presence online on Facebook, and if people want to be involved, then they can. If we do get some people wanting to come and speak and they want to come and speak later, then it's simply a matter of going through the process and having the staff arrange that. So I guess that's
just the process, Kathy. So can we take that you're voting against the motion?
Against the motion.
Okay, so that motion is lost. So can I ask then that you call for a mover for option A?
Can I move it myself? Yeah, so I move that we accept option A, which is to start at 4:30. I'll need a seconder for that. Do we have a seconder?
Yeah.
Joe, all those in favour, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, or raise their hand.
I'm abstaining.
And Linda's abstaining, and all those opposed?
I'm opposed.
Would you two like that recorded on the minute?
Yes. Thank you.
Yes, please. Thank you. I have to give apologies for departure at this point because I have to attend a community meeting, but thank you, Kelly, for hosting all the facilitating things, and thanks to staff.
Okay, thanks, Les. All the best with your meeting. Okay, so that is carried, and we'll move on to item 15, which is the Community Board Area Report for June 2022. So I'll ask Chris to speak to that.
Yeah, so I'll take the report, turn my microphone on, I'll take the report as read. So just quickly before I open to questions, I think there was is it highlight? So there's lots of good things obviously happening in the area. One thing to highlight, I think it was from your April meeting, you had a public forum from Yanni Johansson just around the Aranui Future Streets Insights report. So if you've got any questions around there, obviously Yanni raised a couple of items for you to consider. Rory, as the development advisor for the area, has just made some inquiries. The sort of easier points to answer were around the amending your board plan, but we're pretty much at the end of your term now, so we wouldn't recommend that. And at the time of his public forum, the annual plan submission from the board had already been lodged, and there's just some feedback that from discussion, and please correct me or chip in, Rory, from discussions with actors at the partners meetings, there's not really been any driver for this. So this from a community perspective, we're not hearing a call or a drive for this. So that's the feedback that we've provided, and Yanni's been provided with a copy of this report as well ahead of the meeting. So I think that's everything that I had to raise. I think in the report as well, but I can't see it. Obviously, you've had one youth development fund report today. There's been a couple that have been approved just under my delegation because they fell underneath what I'm able to approve. So just a reminder, because we haven't seen many YDFs for a while, probably because of COVID, people can't travel, that they're starting to come through again now. So when we do get them, if it's not your decision, we still report them back to you via the area report so you can see what's going on. And we'll still encourage those people to provide a report back for you guys as well once they've completed the event. Sometimes it can be tricky to get that, but we like so that you can see what they've done with the support that you provided. I think
Chris, what is that threshold?
It's a good question. I think off the top of my head it's $300. And it's not a definite rule, but typically overseas travel goes to the $500 mark. But then we start taking into account sort of the variables around their situation, what they're doing, and hardship and all of that. So we don't apply, say, if they're just staying within New Zealand, we give them a set amount. But for those higher amounts, we send them through to you.
Yeah. I don't know how the rest of you feel, but it would be really nice to hear back from young people. I think it's good for them. It's good for us to hear it, but it's also really good for them to actually say thanks and to come along and articulate what they did.
And Katie definitely, at the time that they apply, we let them know that it's, we can't, require or force, but we let them know that the board do expect to hear about what you've done with the funding, and exactly what you said. It's a really good opportunity for them to come into this environment, which can be scary for some people, just to sit and present to you guys.
Yeah, I think it's really nice for people in the community to be actually be able to acknowledge this person as well, and all the training that they've gone to actually be awarded a grant.
And and to be perfectly honest as well, it's a great publicity for the fund as well, because obviously we promote it online, but people coming back here to present what they've done, people see that, and it promotes more people to access it, which is what it's there for.
Okay,
Sorry, just a question about the RMLE one as well.
Do you want to
So you have canvassed some RMLE communities, and they are not interested in that.
So they don't necessarily, from the conversations that I've had with them, it's not necessarily a priority for them at the moment in terms of what they want, what they've got on top for the area. And then from obviously my research with Ben, obviously having just joined the team, the research previously is there's been little to no action from the community looking for progress or updates on the project since it was the initial report was lodged in
2015,
2016. Yeah.
Okay.
So that's just from my research of looking through previous correspondence or anything like that. There was very little, if any,
So is there any reason that we should be looking into this through the new term, or is it not?
I would. So my suggestion would be, so once the new board is elected, we'll go through a similar exercise as we did at the start of this term for your board plan. And I would recommend, purely because you're at the end of this term, rather than trying to add more in, it's a case of trying to achieve what you've set as your priorities. And then once the new board is elected, this will be something that we can present so that all new boards, once they're formed, will be getting almost like a state of the nation. And this will probably be something that's included as it was raised by community, because Yanni obviously is a councillor, but he's raised this as a member of the community rather than his elected position. So it'll be something that we keep a note of, and it will be up to that board to decide whether it's a priority for them to drive forward.
Yeah, that was just my concern, that it gets lost in the actual thing, because there were things in this term that we weren't told from last term that we should have actually picked up on and followed through on. So I wouldn't like that to fall through the cracks the same way that those other projects have.
Yeah, and I guess this term for you guys has been a bit of a challenge because you've only had one member returning, so you didn't have a lot of prior knowledge. But in saying that, the new term as well is going to come equally with its challenges, because it's going to be a whole new area as well. That even just within Coastal-Burwood, the boundaries have been changed. Plus, you're clipping in a new ward as well. So there's going to be a lot of change, and it's just something that the whole city is going to be going through, because every boundary has changed. Even if you look at Coastal-Hornby-Rickerton, the board name might be remaining, but they've had major shifts around especially the Hallsville area. So
I know that's fine. That was just my concern, that we don't want it to get lost if there has been that work done and we do want it to proceed, or the community did want it to proceed then. But it's a matter of the community wanting it.
Definitely, and I think this term was the first time we'd done the board plans in the way that we had. So we obviously had learnings from a staff perspective, and we'll be doing rounds of engagement again. But you're absolutely right; it needs to come from the community, because that's what the members will be elected by, is the community, and they need to listen to what is a priority, and depending on whether they come back and say if this is a priority or not, because I imagine you're going to be given the same. Limit's the wrong word, but limit on the number of priorities that you can focus on in your board. And I imagine that's going to be similar, where you have a few priorities for each board. And it is, as it says, you have to pick which is the priority.
Thank you.
Does anybody else have any questions? Would you like to move, Linda? You were out on the last one. I'm happy to second. All those in favour? Accept the report, say aye.
Thanks, Chris.
It's carried. Chris?
Thanks.
And we'll move on to item 16, which is elected members exchange. Who would like to start?
Me,
Phoebe,
tradition,
do you usually start?
often.
Go.
3 things, quick. One is that a few of us attended the Avon Hub opening. That's not in our ward, but I imagine will be widely used by our ward, which is being run by Essen Community Sports and Rec. I'm really pleased to see this facility up and running, and I imagine people in my community will use it. But afterwards, Rob talked to me, and I think also Bill, about the car park not being finished. They spent more money than they expected on actually levelling the car park, and didn't have enough money left over to asphalt it, which is needed for their wheelchair users, their regular wheelchair users. And we talked about the possibility of getting some discretionary response money or some other money from our board. And there seemed to be a miscommunication about who had been asked what. I suggested to Rob, because it's not in our ward, that maybe we could do a share. And then when I asked you, Cindy, you came back and said that actually he hadn't asked for the money.
Chris responded to that,
Oh,
and that was the
that's right.
advice he received.
Yeah, but he said that he had, and was told that he wasn't allowed the money because he had already had money from community board. But it wasn't for this project, and it wasn't from the discretionary fund, so I wasn't sure about that. So that's just one I'd like to follow up outside of this. And then the other one was, it's in the area report, but we opened the Snell Place Bridge a couple of weeks ago, which was really lovely. It was immediately tagged, like 2 days after it opened. And so I managed to get my face on, I think, every media outlet over the following week, complaining about it, which did raise the profile of it, I think, which is great. And I haven't seen any tagging on any of those bridges since then. And also the security patrols have resumed. Sounds like they've been pretty quiet, but it's really good to see big signs saying Allied Security with phone number underneath it, so people can report things. And then I've just fielded a few questions about what should they report to who, and so I did that whole thing of order of priority, 111, 105, and then security if it's happening immediate but it's not a danger, then ring security. And then the last thing is I've had a conversation with some people who are keen to run a event in the red zone by the Darlington Landing, a pop-up disc golf tournament for Pink Ribbon Day. And so they've just been working out a map of a course, and I guess they'll be applying for a license to use the land, but are also interested in the idea of having a permanent disc golf course there. And so I was going to have a conversation with Jackie about it.
Brilliant. Awesome. Thank you, Bibi. Who would like to go next? So you, Joy?
I've got a big list here. I'll just report back on the community groups that I work with. So they've all got, a couple of them have got AGMs this week. the Waimari Beach one tomorrow, the South Shore one on Thursday, and the museum one the following week. The museum, I'd just like to report that they've received the $105,000 grant from North Eastern Environmental Heritage Grant, which is enabling them to buy the building, so that's wonderful news. The New Brighton Connections meeting will be held at the St. Faith's Church on the 23rd, 11 o'clock. I went to the opening of the church, and it's wonderful to actually see it back functioning and looking so amazing. But along with the opening of the church, they've actually got 2 tenants going into the back of the church to actually help cover costs and weekly running expenses. So Renew Brighton and Bowie are actually going into the back of the church to tenant it. And that's where the New Brighton Connections meeting will be held. I attended the Brooklands meeting with Emily, and I must say Emily is doing a wonderful job, and I was very, very impressed by just feedback and the nice casual conversation going on and the connections that are forming in the community out there. And it's something that's been missing, that's much needed. So big congratulations to Emily. Eco Action, went to the planting day with them, and they've got another one coming up this Sunday at QE2. TTK, we had a meeting just after our last board meeting, and it was actually a really informative meeting, and we had Dave Little actually brief us on everything that's been happening. And I think we should actually get him at board to a briefing ourselves. And the other thing that I wanted to say was it would be really, really good also for the public to be updated with a lot of the stuff that is going to be happening in the red zone and what they're doing, because you look at it and you think nothing's happening, but there's actually a hell of a lot happening in the background. And it's all really, really interesting stuff that people would be really fascinated about. So if we could have a public briefing on it, maybe, I think it would be really, really informative and really good for everyone to know about.
I really like that idea.
Yeah, is that possible?
Yeah, is that possible, Chris?
Yeah, we can ask. So I've made a note so we can talk with Dave. He's taken over from the members that don't know. So he's the acting but manager of the residential red zone. So he's taken over from Brendan.
Yeah, and I thought it was really good. Like some of the things he also said, I think issues that we as board should already know about as well. He said that the Pages Road Bridge consultation's been delayed. And like we understood it was going to happen in February, and then it was delayed until June. But he's saying that it's not going to happen now until after the election. Do you know if there's a reason behind that?
No. So yeah, we'll have to come back to you. So we can talk.
So that's that's something that we probably should have known about as well. Also the Stock Banks, Else Terrace, it would be really good to know what's happening there as well. With coming up on June the 19th, which is this weekend, is Volunteer Appreciation Day at Dallington Landing. So there's going to be a whole lot of volunteer groups.
It's in the book, isn't it? Your report.
Oh, is it? Yeah, I haven't seen it. I got contacted by City Care about that to just spread the word and try and get more people along. And I've been trying to deal with staff and reports about this problems that we're having with the stormwater backflow down New Brighton Road and Patch Street. They put in a new valve on the 3rd of May, and the water's just pouring through the valve. And the valve's actually meant to be stopping the flooding, but it's actually made it worse.
Wow.
So I've been toing and throwing emails and videos and photos for like a month trying to sort it out, and it's not going to the right people. And I just want to know, how do I get it to the right people?
So who are you contacting? Is that?
Well, I'm just
going
going to go through it the same way the public do. And I've been contacted by certain people, and it's like, well, they're not really the ones responsible. I want it to go back to the stormwater people that actually fitted the valve, because they're the ones who fitted it, and whether they have done the fitting incorrectly or whether there's a malfunction in the valve, that needs to be sorted out, and it's their responsibility.
People working there this afternoon.
That's further down at Baker Street.
By Baker Street.
Yeah, this is one by Pratt Street.
No one there.
So Chris, it looks like you're following it up?
Have you got any ticket numbers from what we've?
Yes, I have. I'll forward them to you. Yeah. Yes.
Is there a contact number on the work notice?
Oh, on the start work notice? It probably is actually,
Well,
because there was a start work notice issued for that.
send me the tickets that we've got.
Yeah.
And we can follow up, because we can follow up with these guys.
Yeah. And the other thing with our board informal, we discussed New Brighton Road, and that we would like to actually know from staff what their future plans are for the road.
Oh, yes, I leave that on.
Yeah.
It's important.
Well, if there are any.
If there are any future plans for the road.
So I've seen the same comments that you have, so there is no sort of decisions or, nothing's been made over the road.
Yeah, but as a board, we would like to know.
Because there's a lot of speculation in the public about it.
Yeah.
And we'd like to get an official piece of information from council saying they have no plans. So that we can say, council have said they have no plans, because at the moment we don't know what the plans are.
So I know Lynette has said that, so I.
Did she say it to us? So we can then pass that information on?
Yeah, no, for sure, because I think part of the issue why it was done through media is because the board didn't ask for it. So it was just a press article that came out that staff had to respond to, but if perhaps the board had asked that question, the answer would have come back through the board. But if you'd like, I can get that statement from Lynette and just I can try to.
Well, we want to know what direction we're heading.
No, what we'll hear is that there is no plans, but we want to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so just to clarify, because that's what you'll get back there is, yeah.
Because one thing that really concerned me was that she feedback to Chris Lynch that the repairs are all done in New Brighton. So it's like, well, what is happening?
So
Which
I
is
haven't-
not what we discussed.
Yeah.
We said we were not going to talk about repairs. We wanted to know the long-term plans for New
Long-term
Brighton
plans.
Road, and if anything had been decided.
So I'll get that, I'll get what the future plan is, without having seen it, but just to, it may have been, and not to second guess, she may have said that the works that are planned have been completed. That's not the same as saying nothing else will happen ever in the future, but yeah, it's what's budgeted and what's planned for in the county's long-term plan.
Which is nothing.
So,
But there is a regeneration plan.
so New
It
Brighton
shows New
Road,
Brighton Road is completely closed.
so I'll go back to, disrupting my train of thought. Okay, New Brighton Road, I will go to Lynette and ask, have any future decisions been made over the road?
Thank you.
That's a good question to ask.
Excuse me.
No,
I'd like to go, I'm not going to do wrong.
Okay.
Oh,
it's not really a decision.
Are you, do you need
Are
a?
you right, Lily? Do you need a hand?
No, I'm good.
Okay. Did you want to say something before you go?
Good night.
Okay, can I actually, I just got a text from Phil a few minutes ago to say that he's feeling very, very unwell, and he sends his apology. See you, Linda.
Yeah, well, that's me.
Okay, so.
But that, just to clarify, that is the question I'm asking. Thank you.
That's what we discussed. It's fine.
Okay, we've still got a quorum, so that's good. So I'll finish very quickly. So Marston Hall Trust, we've got a very firm commitment from the landowner of the section that we've been looking for. that they will deal with us, and they've sent us to the architect and working out costings of the building which we've designed. It's absolutely fantastic. We're really excited about it. Still a lot to happen, but we're looking to potentially expand the size of the trust to include more people, because as we go through different phases, we're going to need different skills. So that's really exciting. Presentation to council on at the council meeting on Thursday was really exciting. I focused on the young fella who was assisting the mayor and presented to him, which I think he really enjoyed. He was really engaged, and we all had a good laugh too, but managed to get a bit of a plug for New Brighton in particular. Didn't forget to mention Burwood though. I went out with Community Watch on Saturday, undertaking some training. I'd have to say the first hour was very hard. I'm not used to being a passenger. I usually drive the car. I felt quite ill. I managed to get through that, keeping exhaustive notes. But the Community Watch is down to something like 30 odd people, and they're trying to increase the membership. So I've been getting involved in doing little videos with them to raise awareness, and they're getting a few inquiries, which has been really good. I had a long conversation with my friend Dale Coulter, who has run the Coast to Coast in many events for many, many years, is an excellent organiser of events, ran the Mount Cook to Christchurch race, was early kind of overall organiser of the Coast to Coast for Robin Judkins. He's on board with the City to Surf. He's taken over some of the responsibilities from, I think, the guy that you were first dealing with. Can't think of anybody who would run it better when you give him any support he needs to help make sure that that comes back to the surf. And so, yeah, I just reiterated how important it is for it to come back here. And then kind of last but not least was the great section clearing on Sunday, which was an interesting exercise. Cut a long story short, Joe's complained about it before. A guy called Luke Boyce has complained about it. We've had numerous people complain about the mess of that section. And we never really did anything about it until Luke actually suggested that Maxine Jones, a local real estate agent, might know who owned it. So I phoned her up, and we had a bit of a conversation over a few weeks. She managed to finally get hold of the person who owns it. I still don't know who it is, but they allowed us to clear it. I was going to go down with Joe and clippers and things like that, but then Phil volunteered a machine, which in hindsight we should have gone to in the first place. So we cleared that, made a heck of a mess, but managed to sweep it all up. And thanks to Joe's husband, James, coming down with some tools, which we brooms neglected to take. Yeah, so that was immensely satisfying to actually to do that, and people seem to appreciate it. All right, that's all I have. So I guess we'll move on to karakia, and then we'll close the meeting. So I invite you to stand. Those of us that are left will finish it off. Okay, so unahia, ki te uru tapanu, kia wātea, kia mama, te nako, te tinana, te waurua, I te ara takata, ko rare rongo, wakiria, ake kia rona, kia tina, takie. Thank you very much. Sorry, behind Baby's head and I didn't see it. I declare the meeting closed. Thank you for your attendance.